The stories of torture that have come out of Guantanamo and CIA black sites around the world are shocking and shameful. One detainee, whom we saw in the video, Majid Khan, recently testified during his sentencing hearing before a jury of high-ranking, active-duty U.S. military officials. During his testimony, Mr. Khan detailed the torture that he suffered at the hands of the United States government, including waterboarding and sexual abuse. When Mr. Khan's testimony concluded, 7 of the 8 jurors signed a handwritten letter recommending clemency. Now, make no mistake, Mr. Khan should be held accountable for his actions. But as the members of the jury wrote eloquently, and I quote, "Mr. Khan has been held without the basic due process under the U.S. Constitution. He was subjected to physical and psychological abuse well beyond approved enhanced interrogation techniques, instead being closer to torture performed by the most abusive regimes in modern history. This abuse was of no practical value in terms of intelligence or any other tangible benefit to U.S. interest." I might note, as I said earlier, 7 of 8 jurors wrote this handwritten letter to the court. All of them were career U.S. military officials. For nearly 20 years, the detention facility at Guantanamo has defied our constitutional values and the rule of law. Today, we live in a world in which the war in Afghanistan, our nation's longest war, has finally come to a close, and yet Guantanamo remains open. 39 detainees remain, and more than 2/3 of them have never been charged with a crime. Let that sink in. 2/3 have never been charged in 20 years. How can that possibly be justice? The other 12 detainees are in a military commission system that has failed time and again, in sharp contrast to our criminal justice system. For instance, the case against alleged 9/11 co-conspirators who were detained in Guantanamo has never gone to trial more than 20 years after the attack. There is no end in sight for these military commissions. They will not provide justice or closure that the families of those who died on 9/11 deserve. At the same time, since 9/11, the Department of Justice has successfully prosecuted nearly 1,000 individuals on terrorism-related charges, and they have been securely detained by the Federal Bureau of Prisons. We can and we must do better. President Biden transferred his first detainee in July, but at that pace, 1 detainee every 10 months, there will be dozens of detainees at Guantanamo, even if President Biden is elected to a second term. To finally close this facility, we need to take a new approach. Senator Leahy and I sent a letter to President Biden in April with 22 of our colleagues, including 8 members of this committee, laying out the key steps the administration should take to close the prison. Getting this done will demand strong and effective leadership from the White House, as well as the special envoy at the State Department, to negotiate transfer agreements for the detainees who are not charged with crimes. And it will demand swift and decisive action from the Justice Department, which has yet to bring its legal positions in line with the president's goal of closing Guantanamo. In July, I sent a letter to Attorney General Garland urging him to revisit the Justice Department's defense of the government's authority to indefinitely hold detainees without charge or trial and without due process at Guantanamo. I'm disappointed that the President and Attorney General have yet to respond to my letters, and I'm disappointed the administration declined to send a witness to testify at today's hearing on how they're working to close Guantanamo. I'm going to continue to press this administration to take action and to end this injustice. The delays in closing this facility are not cheap in terms of our reputation and in terms of our treasury. Every day Guantanamo remains open damages our moral standing and credibility, weakens our national security, and wastes taxpayers' dollars. How much does Guantanamo cost us? $540 million every year to keep it open. $540 million for 39 detainees. Worse yet, as I mentioned earlier, Guantanamo has failed to deliver justice to families who deserve it the most. One of those family members is with us today. I want to thank Ms. Colleen Kelly. I want to thank her because she's here today making a sacrifice to appear. And of course, she comes to us as a person who lost her younger brother, Bill, in the 9/11 attack. Thanks for your courage and your willingness to speak before the committee. Families like yours deserve better. It's time for us to live up to the ideals our troops risk their lives to defend every day. It's time at long last to set partisanship aside and work together to close the detention facility at Guantanamo. I'll now turn to Senator Grassley for his opening remarks.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to